Hello guys, welcome once again. In this video, I'm going to teach you about arrow member selection operator. So in the last video, I have shown you how you can create a class in other files other than your main.cpp. So we have created a class using this source file or .cpp file and header file. So if you haven't seen that video, just watch it so you know how you can create your file in the separate file, or how you can create a class in a separate file other than your main.cpp. So I'm going to use this class example which I have shown in the last video, and I will demonstrate how this arrow member selection operator works. So in this header uh, book.header or book.h file which I have made in the last video, I have defined the class prototype, and I have declared a book class, and in this we have public members, which is public member variable book ID, and we have created getter and setter of this book ID variable. So getter method and setter method of this book ID, right? So our header file contains the prototype of a class and member functions, and our source file will contain the source code of these prototype which are here. And how it knows, how your CPP file knows, by including this header file in your CPP file. It knows there is a class which exists in book.header, and I have written the source for this setter and getter method in this .cpp file, which is just setting the value and getting the value, which you know by now already. I have already explained how to define setter and getter method in C++ in the earlier videos. So this is this class is doing. It has one member variable and one setter function and one getter function for this member variable, right? And the definition or the source for these member functions for setter book ID and get book ID is here, and this I have explained you in the last video. And I have already also explained you in the last video how you can create an object of the class, for example book class, and how you can call this member method or member functions from the class using this object. Okay, so we have called set book ID and get book ID from the book class. Now you can also say that this book class is your user defined data type. So we have seen we can create string, for example string some value, and this we call it as a data type, and this we call it as a value, right? So we can also say that this book is our book data type, right, which we have created. So it's a user defined data type, and this is a variable, in other words, right? And we can use the concept of pointer, which I have explained you in the earlier videos, and we can use the address of this object to access our member functions from the class. So how we can do it? We can define a books pointer, for example. So I will say first of all this asterisk and then book pointer. And what this book pointer does, or what is a pointer? A pointer is a variable whose value is the address of another variable, right? If you remember. So I want to give the value of this pointer as an address of this book class. So I will write equal to and we give address by this and sign and address of book class. So we have created a pointer of type book. Okay, and by using this pointer we can access these set and get method, like we have seen in the case of book one. So when we created book one, we can use dot separator to access these member variable. But whenever you use pointer, what you need to do, either you can do it like this. So you just copy this pointer of type book and give this bracket and paste this pointer inside this, and then write dot your whatever member variable you want to call. So I call set book ID, and I set it 300 for example. Okay, and I want to print this. So once again I will just copy this whole pointer dot the get book ID or the member variable. So either you can use this kind of definition to call member variables, and I compile this program and I will run this program. So let's run it, and it says 100 and 300. So it's working fine. Our pointer of book type is working fine. But there is a better way of doing this, which we are doing. It looks a little bit weird or ugly when we see it. So what we can do, instead of doing the pointer in the brackets dot the member function, instead of this I can just copy my pointer, which is book pointer, and I will give arrow like this, and this arrow or this arrow is called the arrow member selection operator, and the function of this is same as this dot separator, but whenever you use arrow, your C++ program knows that this is a pointer. So whenever you use pointer, you separate it, or you can access your member variable by using these arrow access or arrow member selection operator, right? And I can do the same here. So I will call this select or set book ID here, and this time I will set book ID 1000 for example, and I will call this cout here, and I can once again use this arrow separator or arrow member selection operator to call my get function also, or get book ID also. And this looks much better. You don't need to write this all, even though this is also valid in this case, but this looks much better. And by seeing this arrow separator, you can say that this variable or this object is our pointer of this type, or whatever type you define, and this will work same as this code. So let's try to compile the program and run the program, and you see here we can see 1000 this time. So you can define the pointer of a class, and using this pointer of a class you can access the member variable of a class either like this or using this arrow member selection operator. Okay, so I hope you have learned this arrow member selection operator very in a very good way, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and bye for now.